Did you have a phase of doing Naam Jap?
Yes, in fact, I started with that, Ranveer. Let me tell you a story if you are okay with that.
Go on.
And this is when I decided to, and I no, it would be wrong if I say I decided to. It was a different decision made by somebody else, and I had to follow it. All right. So I wrapped almost what we call life, things attached with us, almost in a backpack, and did like everybody else used to do, run to the Himalayas.
You quit your job?
I wasn't working then
Okay.
when I did this whole thing. I had a couple of restaurants and I wrapped everything up. Um, and this just happened very suddenly, Ranveer. I don't even know how, why, and all these things. I don't have no answer. But I vividly remember that I was told, or I had read it somewhere, that before you do something of this sort, you must take permission from your wife. I didn't have one, or your mother and father, your parents, right? So obviously, being a son, I'm closer to my mother. So we had a talk, and my mother and I can talk on almost everything under the sun. And I'm like, mother, this is what I want to do. So usual regular mothers, you see, obviously how much ever old you are, she would still think of you as somebody who needs protection. Mothers are that way. So yeah, but cutting the long story short, she was like, let me come along with you. I'm like, no way. So anyway, this thing happens. I'm in Rishikesh and I am calling one of my Gurujis again. I'm like, Guruji, this is what I want to do, and I'm in Rishikesh, and I'm going to go on my foot all the way to Kedarnath from here. And let's see where Bhagwati takes my journey to. Is there any particular suggestion or something that you would want to? And he's like, yeah, take this mantra, keep going with it. Keep going with it without even counting how many number of times you're doing it. I'm like, okay, what is it? So this was this Maha Mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I can say this right now on camera because I don't do it anymore. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. This is a Maha Mantra, a 16-letter Maha Mantra. And I'm like, okay, theek hai Guruji, I will continue with this. Any number? No? Fine. So I started with this particular mantra since I left Rishikesh, and almost 15, 16 days in my journey in the deeper Himalayas, I started to realize that, just after 2 or 3 days, this mantra was almost automatic in my head. It is continuously ringing. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do anything, where sometimes I also feel that this should not be running in my head right now. It is not the time for this mantra, right? Guilt a little bit. I called my Guruji again. I'm like, you know what, Guruji, this is what is happening. I'm taking a leak. And at the same time, I also want to stop it. It is just not stopping, which apparently had happened to be a really good thing. A mantra is basically supposed to keep ringing and reeling in your head at one point of time. Unless that happens, you are just doing japa, tap, 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 tap. There are 4 or 5 ways you can actually chant mantras, right? With speech, and then it comes. So
when the mantra chants you.
Yes. So this rather happens to anybody after some time. It really happened with me in 3-4 days, which was very disturbing, Ranveer. I remember I used to cry because of the invaluable experiences that it got me through. Super excited as a kid, as if like a kid gets a new toy and wants to play around, wants to show almost every one of his friend, this is my new toy, right? Something new happens to you in your life also that way, which is not regular life. You also as a kid want to, you know what, Dad, I got this. I don't know how to. So you get super excited about these things. And you
Some things happened that you can't speak about on the podcast.
Yeah, many. And I know I don't have to.
Okay. But let's just say some facilities got unlocked.
Faculties, yes.
I'm sorry, faculties.
Yes. It happens. I mean,
at the same time that this mantra started
yes,
chanting you.
yes.
Okay.
Have you ever had this experience, Ranveer? I'm going to ask you this question. If you are almost thoughtless and you just don't know why the tears are just coming out of your eyes continuously. You don't know how, and you can't even stop.
It happened in Kashmir actually. There's a Shiva temple in Gulmarg.
Okay.
I climbed up,
Mm-hmm.
went inside. I did a mala job.
Yeah.
And at the end of the mala job, there was just tears rolling down, but no sadness, no happiness.
Yes.
Just some
Not less.
release.
Yes. These are, I mean, there are many experiences one can talk about, but well, these are supposed to be experienced, Ranveer, right? Not told. Everybody is going to have a very different experience, and everybody should have different experiences. Like in our tradition, the Trika tradition, the way Guruji describes it, at the 37th tattva, in the 36th tattva, you don't have Param Shiva.
What, you don't have Param Shiva.
Shiva is beyond all these 36 tattvas, right? So he manifests into the creation as himself, wanting to experience himself in divinely, uniquely ways possible. So if you and I are the same Shiva, and if I are very similar or indifferent, this would not solve the purpose of Shiva. You and I have to be different. That is how Shiva is experiencing himself through me, the way I am, through you, the way you are. It has to be very, very individual. So Shiva is like that, is experiencing himself through many bodies and manifestations.